Hey folks, welcome back. Thought I would do a quick short this time, just a really quick walk through the master. The plumbing and electrical trim are all done in here. You can see we've got outlets, you can see we've got ceiling lights on, we've got some three-way switches. So the way we set this up over here on this wall, we've got a switch panel. You'll notice it's very far from the door. That's not an accident. If you remember from earlier videos, this wall is what's called over-framed. So I set this up so that it's actually framed for a sliding door. And what I can do is when we're ready, I put this door in very badly. It doesn't close very well and it's going to leak like crazy. It's really meant to be temporary. When we can afford it, we'll get a sliding glass door, cut this out here, and then put that in. And then the light switch will be right next to the door, so it'll make more sense. But we got a switch over there for outside sconces out on the deck. One switch that is a three-way for the overhead lights, and one switch that's a three-way that goes up to this J-box here. One last thing I have to do on trims, obviously, put a cover on that before the inspector comes. But what I'm going to be doing is putting a tray ceiling in here. So this section all around the edge of the room, about a foot of this, will be 1 foot down with a little bit of a lip, and we'll have some rope lighting in there. So this J-box here is to feed that, and one of the three-ways that's over here on the wall runs up and controls that. The other three-way for it is here, and the other three-way for the master lighting is there. And then finally over here, we've got an on-off switch for a ceiling fan, and it's got a couple of settings here where, I can control the fan, the light, or both of them independently, and then just have a little bit of ventilation in the room. So this room's basically here. Therefore, it has become the next official dumping ground. And as you can see, we've got our flooring in. So I'll just talk about that briefly and then wrap up. I can't bring all the flooring into one room and just pile it in a corner. The total load is going to be about 3,500 pounds and the floor would collapse. So now I framed this with 2x12 joists at 16 on center, and it's a 16-foot span with a double layer of OSB subfloor. It's extremely strong and extremely stiff, but why take chances? So I do have the material spread out, but I also open some of it up because this is what you have to do to acclimate it to your environment before you install it. And you need it spread out like this for a good month. They recommend 4 to 8 weeks. Longer is better. So I wanted to get some of the material unpacked here, and I noticed that they say it's random length. It's not. It's really 4 standard lengths. But they don't give you the exact ratio. It's not like, 10 of each piece in a box. You can see I've opened, 15 boxes of it maybe so far. And you can see how it's stacking out where we've got a pile of very long lengths. These are actually mixed length. There's 2 lengths together in one pile. One kind of, maybe 3/7 and one is 4/7. And then finally over here, there's some very short pieces. So I think what I'm going to do is reserve the short pieces and do a herringbone feature in the office with those right down the middle. And then, put a frame around it with, long or mid-length. And I'm going to save the long lengths for the main flooring throughout the house. So throughout the house, I'm not actually going to do random length. I normally would. I have no problem with it, but there's so much of that material that I just don't think that I need to. And then let's just take a quick look at what this stuff looks like. I'll put a piece of it up here so you can see it in the sun. It's quite lovely. You can see that it's got this, it's meant to be a cherry kind of look. They say it's something chestnut. It's not. It's an Asian species, most likely Jatoba. That would be very common for this. But you can see it's got kind of an iridescent quality to it. Let me see if I can, really pick that up here. So it's quite lovely as the sun moves across it. It's finished in a roughly, North American cherry kind of color. So very slightly reddish yellow, and really like the material. It also has a very thick wear layer. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to see this on the camera, but this top piece here, you'll notice how it has 2 colors. That's not just the finish. This is the wear layer. That's not. So this is the bit that's part of the plywood, and this is the wood. Now, I haven't gotten the calipers out, I probably should, but that's extremely thick for engineered wood flooring. Most of them tend to run around 10 to 20 thou for the top veneer. This looks closer to 40 to me. And what's really nice about that is that most engineered wood flooring is not designed to be refinishable. This is not solid oak, okay? So it's not like, a type of floor you refinish for 200 years and keep it forever. You can refinish this maybe once or twice, but that's more than I was expecting. So even though it's not like, a solid product, this is actually better in a lot of ways. You're getting really nice material, but it's much more sustainable. It's better for the environment because you're using less of the high quality wood. And that means that they're able to use, knottier stuff for the plywood that becomes the substrate. But also being a plywood, it expands and contracts less. You're not going to get the cracking and the shrinkage and the gaps and stuff that you would with a solid floor product. And you've all seen those floors, you go around, there's wood filler everywhere. And, we're used to the look. I think we call it character, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, what it really is a defect. Your floor is kind of failing because it's contracting. So this is not going to have that problem. Once this is installed, it'll just stay pretty stable. You leave about 3/4 of an inch around the edge anyway, but it generally doesn't need it. Engineered flooring doesn't move nearly as much. It's like a little bit, but 10% of what a solid floor. So let me wrap up here. You can see that we've got this room finished, and now I will be moving down the hallway. My goal today is to get the hallway drywalled and to get the office. So I have to clean out the office and get hanging on the drywall in the hallway and the closet and the office. So that if I can get those 3 rooms done today, tomorrow, Sunday, I will be working on the great room and dining room. And then probably a couple of days into next week, be calling for the electrical final. Wish us luck, stay tuned, and see you in the next video.